Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Mainland 98.3 FM. On Twitter at Mainland FM. We are the sound of Lagos.
Good morning, Lagos, Nigeria. Good morning to you from whatever part of the world you are listening to us this beautiful, beautiful Monday morning. Welcome to another engaging episode of The Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM. We are live on Mainland 98.3 FM at 7:42 a.m. We apologize for the 2 minutes delay. We needed the commercials to play through, we need to get the bag, as most people would say. But it is a wonderful time to once again review the things that are happening within our polity. And every morning we make it a point of duty to look at the newspapers. What the most up-to-date information of the things that had happened the day before and very early in the morning, so that we can form regarding these issues. Now, the Morning Express, for those of you who probably for the first time are joining us, because I like to safely assume that every morning we have a number of people who join at the station, or at least just try to listen to what we do on here. If you're one of those, we welcome you into our fold. And as I always say, I hope that you find a reason to stay. Although I am quite calm, you're very intellectual, you like to listen to intellectual analysis, this is a place that you will most certainly love to be. The Morning Express officially kicks off at 5 a.m. We wrap up conversations for the Morning Express at 11 a.m. And we have quite a number of segments in the Morning Express with feedback on the matters that have been discussed. We have Global View as well, where we look at international stories. We also have the Mainland Business Cafe. That is after we segue to the launch, explore the intricacies of current events through the lens of our newspapers this morning. Politics, business, health, everything in between. We just want to provide clarity, provide more context to the news as they arrive. Fuatai will be joining us, of course, to provide us with analysis, to let us know what exactly, or to give us an insight into the major parts of these stories and parts that are probably hidden behind the words. Now, as is our practice here every morning, we understand a lot of you don't want to look at the papers, because many of you call and you tell us that, you're stressed, and sometimes listening to all these things can have you a tad be the cause of the weekend. We have the Guardian, Punch, and Vanguard, and I will just read to you some of the headlines that trended over the course of the weekend before we delve into the most recent newspaper. Did tell us fresh PDP crisis. Wike quits peace deal, accuses Makinde of collusion. Allowed Wike others to stabilize party, says Damagom. NNPC an election under Labour Party. Rescheduled UTME. 70.7% of candidates scored below 200, says JAMP. Police ban on politicians holding public office after tenure. The Punch over the weekend, the trending stories or some of the trending in 2025 UTME, JAMP reports. National Assembly may pass harmonized tax bill Tuesday. Illegal refineries in Ondo, others. Presidency debunks fake White House invitation rejection statement. Mining reform attracted $800 million investment in 2024. Shift NEC meeting. National Assembly may pass harmonized tax bills Tuesday, and for Vanguard's NNPCL to complete rehabilitation within 30 days. NCC mandates service. We have federal government turns back 8 foreigners without visas. Worsening insecurity. Repentant terrorists for the actualization of sovereign state of Biafra. Masob. San to Tinubu, order release of detainees held without trials. And finally, 2027 election results. And we are about to delve now into the stories for this morning. We are going to be looking at the same papers, Guardian, Punch, and good morning, Fuad. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Sage. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm well too. How was your weekend?
Fantastic.
I'm sorry, really. You should just go and learn how to box.
He's a man of war.
He's a man. He's not a man of peace. He's a man of. But I do like it. He's very passionate. Really superior arguments for you to get him to align with you. But that is the beauty of conversation, as I always say. You can have dissenting opinion, but you're able to reach a consensus at the end of the day. So it was a beautiful session yesterday, also with Olalekan Oni and Barrister Curtis as well. Always a great time having the gentlemen in the studio and their perspectives, on the political issues. Very, very. I'm looking forward to what is is going to become of the coalition, because people at the moment think that Peter Obi might just be the missing link, something that would cement this coalition. But when he says he's running on the platform of the Labour Party, I guess we would wait to see in another 2 years. So some of the things that happened over the weekend, for example, the AU is celebrating 62 or 64 years old now, the African Union. They've been around for about 6 decades, right? And there was a proposition that they made over the weekend. They say that political function within any political capacity again, and this is because they don't want the recycling of the same individuals. In fact, they said there should be a 20-year ban on political office holders after their tenure. So you've been a governor for, as they celebrate about 62 years old. Fouad, what do you think about this proposition by Selves in the Foot?
I don't know. I don't know where this recommendation is coming from. Good governance in Africa. Okay, once you serve, you should be banned for 20 years. Is that supposed to be the solution to the widespread governance we have in different parts of Africa? I don't know, really. Again, people who are thinking in that direction, they probably have to give us more information recycling of leaders. I think the problem with the AU, as we speak, the same people that are recommending that people should be banned, they held positions in the past, have in different parts of Africa sit-tight leaders who have been there for more than 3-4 decades.
Right.
Practically running their countries aground, becoming a very big shame to Africa, holding on to power in different parts of Africa. And in that AU summit or AU meeting, whenever they have, you will see them, we see how embarrassing they appear in foreign functions, for example, some of them being held, shaking. You know our neighbor here now.
I wasn't going to say,
for example, of Cameroon.
I wasn't even going to say anything before. At least Rwanda, they are still trying. The man is still fine. It still looks very good.
It's fine, but how well?
I know.
How well it...
Who was it that was fainting when he was delivering speech? I used to know all the names. It's not like a monarchy. He wants to hand it over. I don't understand. That system has become like a monarchy.
So that's the problem with Africa, really. The mantle of leadership. And that is why in sub-Saharan Africa, West Africa, for example, in the Maghreb region, you have the military. And I told her that, look, I understand all the study law for the Burkina Faso guy, who, of course, a lot of people have found out that, look, a lot of the information out there, beautiful statements, all crafted, to paint a picture of him as a leader who understands what he's doing. The records of a lot of leaders who eventually became a problem to the African countries. They also came in like this, young military leaders who people are seen as a hero, only for them to become dictators. For example,
the transition period that never came.
That's my fear, even with some of the khaki boys now,
right,
in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. You will find out that they will not transition nothing as they are. See, they would also become what they have condemned to come into power. There's a problem with Africa. Only God can help us.
I mean, another player said, I mean, these are individuals who had removed the democratically elected president at the time because they accused him of taking advantage of the institutions of the law.
And look at what the two generals are now doing.
They start fighting and they throw the people into more chaos. Absolute power does corrupt.
Look at South Sudan. Poverty, pain, and suffering in South Sudan.
It's a terrible, terrible situation, unfortunately. Well, that is the recommendation of the AU. I found it intriguing, and that's why I brought it up, like a 20-year ban on politicians. I don't know if that will work in Africa. I mean, the entire
Who is going to do that?
Who is going to implement it? None of them. Is it the Senate? For example, you take that proposition to the Senate with a gospel like Fabio there. I wish you all the best. Let's something else as well, which will lead us into the conversation. One of the conversations for this morning, we're looking at the Guardian newspaper, is the temporary shutdown of the Port Harcourt refinery. NNPC shut it down for maintenance work. This is, on the edge of the $1.5 million misappropriation. They've started dishing out products, and now, just like the Warri refinery, we've seen that the NNPC shuts it down, the Port Harcourt. From that refinery, they've taken quite a number of diesel, but there's nobody that has particularly said that they've been able to take a lot of questions. All the money that you used to turn around that refinery, you told us it was working, it was functional. And months exactly did you turn around, and what exactly did you maintain is the question that's being asked for.
Corruption. Lies. You see is seed. That's what you have. And when we try to probe these things, when we try to check and recheck some of these things, any good news about the country, when something is working, you people are not once bitten, twice shy, they say. Let's check and recheck. Let's check this information. These guys cannot be trusted. They have us presented. The framing was a bit suspicious to some of us. The time in dollars put into fixing those refineries. And look at what turnaround maintenance. You don't know what they are turning around. The refinery that you have just told us is working. Now we are being told that Port Harcourt refinery that was celebrated to high heaven shut down again for turnaround maintenance. And say, even before this point of funding, so-called shutting down of the refinery, what quantity have they been picking from those refineries? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, if somebody tells me that they are able, so we've sunk about $3 billion, and look at where we are. Just look at where we are. And now the marketers are saying that, look, if the timeline for the maintenance is not that, just who have the capacity suddenly to import these things to continue to bring it into the country. I mean, at least that's even what they want anyway. They want to continue to import. Their desire is that no local refinery should work. So it works perfectly for them. If not that Dangote refinery is owned by a private businessman, their tax and all of the frustrations they brought upon that $20 billion refinery. If not that it was managed, owned by a private businessman who understands his business strategy. It's just a game. And that's why some of us are waiting to see what the new board of the NNPCL will bring to the table.
Well, thank you very much.
It's not just about the new appointments, it's about what are they bringing to the table that is going to be different from what we saw with the Mele Kyari era. And we are still waiting. Mr. Mele Kyari needs to answer questions. He needs to be probed. I'm surprised that by now.
We'll wait for new information as it comes through. The timeline for the reopening of the refinery, we don't have back the conversation. If the Port Harcourt refinery is not working at the moment, the Warri refinery is not working at the moment, crisis between Dangote and the marketers who are accusing him of the possibility. So that same monopoly that you're scared of, you most likely give room for it to happen, because if you're importing into the 1,000 depot owners to shut down because of the crisis and the instability within the oil sector. Well, as I said, we'll give you more information as we get them. Still speaking about oil and all the things going on, the military is giving us a record that they've destroyed over 100 illegal refinery sites in the last 5 months, and they've been able to recover at least 500 refineries in the country. Over 500,000 liters have been recovered and about 100 destroyed in about 5 months.
Look at the Iran revive his own refinery. After sinking over $3 billion into it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Again, for a country like that, you see.
It is unfortunate.
Do it. Why can't the country do it?
I understand. Use their process and just put them in the right part to ensure that they're following procedures in place to ensure that casualty rate is as minimal as possible. If there's something we can adopt, I believe that it would help us. If you're able to carry out this operation to suit, amongst other things, but if you can supply them legally, allow them to refine under safe conditions that they want to have at this time, especially with the crackdown on these refineries. Moving on forward, the Guardian newspaper is once again Naira subsidy savings. States fail to cushion hunger hardship, but states failing to deliver, Niger Delta CDC. Stakeholders blame NNDPRA, FCCPC for sharp practices, consumers plight. NMDPRA begins payment of a standing 100 billion Naira subsidy to Ipman. MDA is not complying with Tinubu's order on CNG vehicles, says Ajayi, now to 7 trillion Naira. But the unintended consequences triggered by sharp inflation and impact on vulnerable households and small businesses continue to linger. Stakeholders warn rising inflation. While the government revenue surged with 2024 Federation account allocation coming in 2022, interventions like compressed natural gas buses and conditional cash transfers have been poorly executed. Let me summarize this report because it's a very, very lengthy read. One part that caught my attention, Fuad, is the fact that the rebasing, for example, and the fact that it has cascaded into higher transport costs, the prices of commodity have gone up. As you know, a cost plus inflation is what is happening at the moment. Some of the monetary policies that these these economic tools or these financial tools that they've decided this amount of money, we've gotten $800 million investment in power sector, we've gotten this and this, but the average Nigerian is still unable to buy food and is being advised to buy boli and granuts to survive.
Boli and fish.
Exactly, boli and fish.
What's the name
That's
of
what
that
he
guy
said.
there?
I can't remember his name, but I do remember what.
Try that.
Let it go, please. Let it go, Moana. There's
Boli and fish.
the center. The center. Fuad, come on. The center is quite confident about how much money they're making. There's investment. It's a very ironic situation that even data analysts are struggling with, and they blame that struggle on the rebasing and some of the financial tools that this administration is using.
See, I've always told you about this idea of playing with data, figures,
Right.
the reality of the people. For all economic calculations, all economic indices and standards of the people, you can begin to quote figures. You can do debt to GDP, inflation to GDP, all those GDP. If you like, come from Harvard, come from wherever with the economics and all of that. It's okay. That may never end. That may be a point for continuous conversation. But the one that is always constant as a metric to check how the government is performing when it comes to its economic, people talk about rebasing, and then we get a bit confused about figures and whatever. You see, what we have now, in terms of how this government in 2 years have implemented its policy, is a classic case of trying to fix one problem and creating more problems. You came in that there were problems, maybe 1 or 2, 3 problems. You have now created more problems that will take us decades to fix. And that look, we needed to fix it. Subsidy, the way we were running it at that time, the dollar racketeer, the currency, and that look, because of the racketeering going on in foreign exchange and with the issue of subsidy, people were manipulating with books. They will not bring in anything. They will collect subsidy money. We were subsidizing for our neighbors. People were diverting products, blah, blah, blah. The problem again was that, look, because we had no functional refinery, people were importing into the country, so it had become a problem. So it was difficult to really check the books and know what people were bringing in. So there was a lot of problems. And so one had expected that, look, that kind of policy, understanding the far-reaching consequences it will have on the people, needed to be approached more methodically. But how did we handle it? We jumped into it from day one without any clear plan. Subsidy is gone. And then we're now looking for solutions. And then the solutions were, we'll be sharing rice to everybody. As if rice and petrol are a substitute. How do you make people buy more expensive petrol? And then the alternative to pushing this. So you ask yourself, how does that even make any sense? And we knew that, look, where government kept telling us now that we floated the currency, there's no more because it
Yes, we lost you there for a few seconds. Please proceed. 8.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. We are streaming the program live, by the way. Please forgive me for not mentioning, although I know that a lot of spoken on YouTube, and we also use that channel to take your feedback, so you can drop your comments on Facebook and on YouTube. This is Trends in the Papers on Tees.
So we started, they said there were going to be safety nets, there were no clear plans of how to push in the effect. No plan. Have you noticed that stylishly, there's no more talk about CNG? Remember at some point when the president even said,
no refuel stations available for...
How does it become a reasonable alternative to expensive petrol?
Fuad, just so that we can have a fuller conversation, I'd like to point out to you transfers from the $800 million World Bank loan to pushing subsidy effect. Yes, but there are many stakeholders that are arguing that this so-called impact is still invincible. That Yitwalda, all of the figures is given out regarding the cash transfer, there's still a lot of people that are poor, and there's not been an accurate amount of people that have come out, or at least a full amount of people that have come out to say they benefited from this. Even Petro Naira arrangement for crude, and some people
maybe forex,
perhaps. So people are still $100 on refinery repair, but the country still depends on importation for 60% of reduced but not removed. That is the argument. There was a reduction.
The governors that we know, go and meet your governors. They are not collecting more money. Really? So that's supposed to be an achievement. Where we know ourselves, we know our Nigerians into action to raise more money, to give more money to governors, and we are supposed to celebrate that. Okay, what has changed now? Say, what exactly has changed?
I don't have the answer. That's why I'm quiet.
Into untold action by the way they approach the policy achievement for them. Now that the governors, they say they are giving more money to, have not been able to do anything with it. Are they supposed to regard that as an achievement? And so to the people, what are we supposed to go do to the government? We should go and beat them up in their office. What are we supposed to do to the governor?
Nothing. Do you even have that much access to the governor to ask him questions, really?
And when we were saying that, look, sir, taking these policies the way you are taking it, will put one and look at where we are now. Even the World Bank that they love to listen to. And that is why even the IMF is telling them that, look, you guys need to look at your fiscal policy, not necessarily your monetary policy. That there seems to be on the day one of this government, I said that this outlook of putting more Nigerians into pain.
And actually, you're getting more money, but it's not translating to better living for those in your state. So where is the money and where's the place of accountability? We would expect that the Economic Financial Crimes Commission, the authority to do so.
The ones that stole the post money before, we still
it's their job, right?
On the EFCC.
It is their job. That's why they're there.
How well have they done the job before? Are they not just running after Yahoo boys?
Father, I'm going to
the big masquerade in the village square, dancing freely. Nobody is there to go and hold them responsible for anything. A lot of the government think that today's poll would also stand trial in future.
Well,
are we joking or something?
Well, Peter Obi did say over the weekend that Nigeria is a difficult place for good people to rule. He says that there's systemic failure. If you're a good person, you get into that system, it would swallow you.
You see what happened?
You have to be willing to play dirty to a large extent if you are going to survive within the political space.
Sorry, talking about good people not lasting long in Nigeria, or not having a man that won an election. Wait, now let's talk about good people. A man that won was still decent enough. A decent man, principled man. That say, look, although the electoral umpire have declared me the winner of this election, but it was a fraudulent one.
Yes.
And I pray about politics. People have no politics. They know politics. What are the principles behind their politics? The politics. Do you know what it means to win an election? But I said that the election I won, even though the quotations on how to transform and reform our electoral process. But the man died before he could do anything. Chairman, they become ministers, they become governors, but go and check their track record. Are we not in the school? You could not even answer. And those are the people who are ruling us. Those are the people who rise through the ranks and become anything in this country. And we wonder why nothing gets done.
Fuad, we need to move to another.
Yes, I finished from you.
That's my point. Fuad, that's my point. It's in warranty to tell us. As long as you have your school leaving certificate, just leave it there in your portfolio that you have your school leaving certificate. Newspaper is trends in the papers on Mainland 98.3 FM. Let's talk about the PDP, Fuad. They have postponed their NEC meeting amid uncertainty in Jᴏɪᴜ S쏘뾱ᴜ, the governor of Oyo State, whom there have been rumors, emphasis on rumors as the operative word here, that he might have a desire to come forward in 2027 as that, Jᴏɪᴜ S쏘뾱ᴜ is one of the proponents of the postponing so that they can allow the Bukola Saraki-led reconciliation committee to work their magic. This position of Wike, amongst other things.
Honestly, I'm tired of talking about it. But I have no choice. So long I have to do this choice between Wike and Jᴏɪᴜ. I don't know where it's coming from. They work together to ensure the defeat of their party.
Now they were in G5 together now.
They were the G5 people. So they have started to want to hijack the structure of the party, or it's not sticking to agreement. Because again, the release, as it was said, was signed by Wike. Jᴏɪᴜ is the problem, and that's the reason why it's pulling out of the agreement. I don't know that in our brain. We are not thinking.
Or you're not going to University of...
That every day when he wakes up, he is working to finish the party. He's suddenly looking for... This is a man that he has even committed to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu winning the election in 2027. And two things, you see that this fight now make believe. Just, that kind of thing that they are just using to distract people. Because I doubt if these people can actually fight. We were together in G5. And somehow, whatever they wanted, they got. Makinde got a second term. Wike eventually got a very juicy ministerial portfolio, and they are still working very well.
That's what that faction is.